Well, hello, fit and strong friends, and welcome to another video recording video program. So today, the subject matter, the topic that I want to focus on will be the high volume training versus high intensity training. As you all know, those of you who've been doing this long enough, bodybuilding, weightlifting, powerlifting, any kind of weight training regimen you've been applying. I believe most likely you're aware of the high intensity program, which was basically supported strongly by a famous now defunct bodybuilder, Mike Mentzer, actually Mike and Ray brothers, Mike and Ray Mentzer. Mike Mentzer, obviously, and I have also a lot of respect for him, and there's a lot of people in the bodybuilding community has a lot of respect for Mike Mentzer for his philosophy and personality, the quality that he brought to sport, and also the grace, obviously on the stage, on the competition stage, and Mr. Universe stage. But my particular concern is today that high intensity training, which is the famous one set to the failure, that particularly never personally sat with me. I just don't believe it's a good option. And a lot of people would agree with this, that at least they would say it's not for everybody. So, like I said at the beginning, and I'll be talking about the high volume training, which is the opposite of high intensity, or in short, HIIT training. So let's talk about that. I will I'm going to minimize my picture here just so I can share the rest of the screen if I can. Sometimes just being, there you go. So I'm going to just minimize it here. There you go. So yeah, high volume training, what it is and what is it, what are the specifics of it, and why do I think that is it's valuable workout philosophy. So first off, I'd like to get back to a little bit of basics of it. The optimal volume per muscle group, body part, and workout in a week. And there's basically a kind of commonly accepted recommendations that it goes like for each bigger muscle group, about 60 to 120 total reps per week. Excuse me. And for each smaller muscle group, about 30 to 60 total reps per week. So again, I'm trying to summarize. Obviously, I'm trying to skip in a lot of things, being cognizant of time and trying to make this video not too long. I don't want to drag this on. So there's basically the belief behind that, which was also popularized by hardcore bodybuilding of 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. And Arnold Schwarzenegger was a strong, supporter of this philosophy with his workout style. And a lot of bodybuilders of the past decades, the past century, did actually what they call this is an old school bodybuilding, that high volume bodybuilding. And there's a kind of a general guidance here, and what that is I want to let me remove this out of the way. The general guidance is, as you see, it's basically dividing the muscle groups, the major muscle groups: chest, back, quadriceps, and hamstrings, shoulders, biceps, triceps, calves, and abs. And as you see, the large muscle groups such as chest, back, quadriceps, and hamstrings, those four are large muscle groups. They're taking 60 to 120 per week, whereas shoulders, biceps, triceps, calves, and abs, those are smaller groups. They're given 30 to 60 reps per week. So basically, what I want to share with you, which is actually I want to share my own current workout regimen, which I've been tracking. That I started tracking this using Microsoft Excel in detail, and I want to share that. And the reason why I'm showing this before I start sharing that is because the deriving idea, the base, the fundamental philosophy, which is deriving that Excel spreadsheet, my workout regimen is based on high volume training, or maybe I should say the optimal volume range within the high volume workouts philosophy. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this out of here, and I'll bring up my spreadsheet. There you go. So actually, as of this tab, as you see, I got tabs for each week because I'm tracking this on a weekly basis. Again, the other idea is don't forget that what I was showing you was the optimal volume range by week. So it's important here that you're tracking the progress, you're tracking the exercises, the routine, the regimen on a weekly basis. Typically 5 to 6 days. And again, it can there is a flexibility. One person can do this. For instance, let me bring this back again. An example, how to apply this. Why is it per week instead of per workout? Explains that. And for instance, training, you can train the muscles, each muscle group once per week. Then you apply the ranges that I just mentioned. You can do this, like twice per, per week per each muscle group. Then you can basically divide these to 60 to 120 becomes 30 to 60, and 30 to 60 becomes 15 to 30. You can even do it 3 times a week, and as you see, the range numbers are going. Basically, they're all aligned with this number. The 60 to 120, that's once a week. You can do it. You can spread it into 2 or even 3 days. I personally use 1 day per muscle group. There could be sometimes 2 muscle groups on the same day during the same workout session. So that is being the case. And again, I'm going to remove this. There you go. So first off, and I'm going to start with my most recent, my current week, which is today, Friday, and as you see, every week, starting with Monday all the way through Sunday, and the corresponding dates. And here I have a mode, it says, and the mode is whether it's, I'm not sure if it is totally covering that, this section of the spreadsheet. Maybe I can just kind of do this a little bit so I can show it better, because it looks like it's a little bit overflowing. So let me just do this and enlarge this manually, just so I wouldn't be flowing out, and then you wouldn't miss any sections of it. There you go. So as you see, I have mode. Mode is let me just show that. I have home workout in my home gym, or I can also do e-bike. I can do mixed, meaning I can do cardio and weights. I can do other, whatever other means. But I typically do home and gym. And first off, I identify that the date is here, the day is here, and then here I have 2 muscle groups: muscle group number 1 and muscle group number 2. The reason why I have 2 muscle groups is I would never exceed 2 muscle groups per workout, especially within this regimen. And again, it could be 5 to 6 days. Some weeks 5, some weeks 6 days a week. And here's not my typical. Actually, I'm going to go back to earlier week, which is one of the ones that I completed. And as you see, I completed this week. Well, it's interesting. I didn't have any rest days, and typically I have at least 1 rest day each week. But that week I did not have any rest days. So, for instance, I did chest, I did biceps, triceps, back, biceps again, shoulders, chest, and these 2 days, Wednesday and Friday, I also added legs. So what it's tracking here is, and I improved on this one actually, starting the next week, I'm going to be using my improved way of tracking my workouts. So the DTW is daily total weight lifted, and DTS is daily total sets. So basically, it shows the distribution of the total poundage that I lifted for each muscle group, and as you see, there's a grand total. The grand total is that for that week is 182,100 127 pounds. Again, yes, 182,000. When you say that, it's awfully high number. But I'll tell you how it's calculated. So as you see, for instance, in each exercise group, for instance, let's start with chest. For chest, I chose Smith machine incline bench press. So I basically I'm using these drop downs that I added on my to my Excel program, so that gives me an opportunity to go up and down and choose the exercise that I use. So you understand that, it's giving me a lot of flexibility. Otherwise, I'll be listing each of these exercises, and it would be a huge, very long, going down long spreadsheet to be able to see all the options and pick the one that I use that day. Instead of doing that, I'm using drop downs, so it kind of gives me that flexibility, pick and choose, and then show that within a drop down box. So I chose machine incline bench press. I was again in gym, and I'm using the Smith machine. When I say machine incline, it's a Smith machine. And those of you obviously who are familiar with the Smith machine, I don't have to repeat and describe what it is. So the weight is 288 pounds. And actually the way I calculate that is it's calculated here. That's the average number because I start with lower weights and higher reps, and then I increase the weights and lower the reps. So basically I'm looking at, for instance, I did 9 sets, and I'm looking at the average weight because my weights are varying, and also reps. So that's why it's 4.5. It kind of looks funny. What is 4.5 reps? It's because it's an average number. It is looking at my total number of reps for that range, for that exercise, and calculating that. So I cannot see that for some reason here, but it's this is the way I like I said here. Typically, look at this one here. It's looking at the total, dividing by number of sets. It's finding the totals. So then it puts the total weight, total poundage for this muscle group, in this case chest, for this exercise, and it goes like that. For instance, biceps, I did Scott bench curls. I chose Scott bench curls. Triceps, I did cable tricep push down. For back, I did lower back, which is deadlift. And biceps again another day. Friday, this is a little bit of too much excitement. I'll look at the total number of reps. Biceps again, seated dumbbell curls, dumbbell press next day, and dips for chest again. So all the weight and set and rep numbers, values are here. And once I enter these numbers, obviously these are my input values, depending on what I do. And it's automatically calculating the total poundage here. So it's looking at that, the weight times set times rep is given the total poundage. That's why, and summing up all these numbers are coming to adding up to 182,000 pounds for that week. Obviously this number covers all the muscles, every single set and rep applied with whatever the weight is given and recorded here. So for instance, I can go like this side, it's still continuing. The machine incline bench press was that. The next exercise was again same Smith machine. This time is standing. I'm sorry. This one is the name is recorded wrong. This is supposed to be not bench press again, but that was incline press. So going to gym and not hammer strength, machine incline. There you go. I thought it was weird because it's repeating. So this is the next chest exercise. In this case, for upper chest, Smith machine incline bench press. Same thing again, weight, set and rep, and total poundage. And the third exercise that I did was for, again, still within the chest group, was standing cable flies, and that was typically for that one, the weight goes down because this is not a compound exercise, it's a single joint exercise. So the weight is only 80 pounds and 5 sets and 10 reps, the total poundage. So as you see, it's basically once I entered all these things, and for each of these muscle groups on a daily basis, as I complete these every single day of the week, at the end of the week, it shows me the total poundage lifted here. And I'm showing up right here, 182,000 pounds. And I was curious, based on what I was showing you before I started showing the Excel spreadsheet, these numbers here. Let me bring this again. There you go. I wanted to see everything also in terms of number of reps per week per muscle group. So I basically improved on this. On this tab is my current tab because I'm still in this week and still continuing on the same format. I'm using the same format, same style, except for the next week, starting with July 24th, a Monday. It's going to be different, entirely different format. And basically the additional feature that I added is to show, in addition to sets, number of sets and number of poundages, I'm also showing the number of reps because I want to show the total number of reps that each muscle group is getting. Still showing the totals, and as you see, there are two different colors. One is the muscle group, again, one the same thing, muscle group 2, and with that, I'm showing not only the sets for each muscle group, but total reps, and therefore, you know, for each muscle group, I can show the total number of reps, and I can compare those with the guidelines. And these guidelines are this is the same guidelines I was sharing before, and you know, all the recommended rep ranges. And notice that they are given in terms of reps, number of reps, and I'm going to compare each workout to see if I'm staying. For instance, when I look at this July 10th to July 16th, that week, the week of July 10th, I noticed that, for instance, you know, some of the muscle groups such as chest, biceps, maybe triceps, I was exceeding the maximum by even 2 or 2.5 times, whereas when I look at the legs, I was barely, you know, meeting the criteria. So that way I can track better where, if I'm falling behind or kind of within the range, accepted range, recommended range, or way exceeding that range. One other important aspect of this is there is a what they call this kind of diminishing returns. So for instance, if it says, you know, its recommended range is 60 to 120, right? And there are times that then I notice after applying this, I noticed that, for instance, it's possible for me to exceed this by like 240 reps instead of 120, exactly exceeding the maximum by 2, or by a factor of 2, even by a factor of 2.5. And that's even 3, maybe close to 3, so that's a lot. And after beyond a certain point, the body, the muscle is not getting any advantage. In fact, it's kind of it's called diminishing returns. In fact, you know, it's almost preventing its improvement. You know, anymore. It's not doing the hypertrophy impact. It's not helping to kind of promote the hypertrophy effect on the muscle. So that, if that's the case, for instance, what I do is the next week I try to adjust it, and I try to make sure that, you know, I'm kind of staying within this range. I tend to go in the maximum end of the range, and I can exceed it a little bit. If it's 120, maybe if I did 150, I'm still okay with that, but I don't want to exceed it by a factor of 2. So with that, I'm going to go this area again. There is, as you see here, I'm in the blue group. Blue is the muscle group 1, and has again 3 exercises I can put in the blue group. And if I'm doing another muscle group, which is the muscle group 2, then I do the same thing. I can have up to 3. Typically I would do 1 if I do a second muscle group, or at the most 2. So, and also I want to go a little further. There's a red group here which doesn't have any corresponding red group here. This, what I call the red group, is my free-floating exercise group, meaning if I don't have, for instance, you remember I was showing you that I have this list. Let me just show this better. I have this list of exercises. A little better. This way. There you go. So this list is my complete exercise, the typical movements, exercises, lifts that are available to me. I mean, I kind of stay almost 99% of the time I use these exercises. But it's possible that sometimes I might want to try something else, something new. And if I do that, it's not in the list. Of course, I can always add it to the list. but I don't want to go ahead and programmatically, change the ranges so that the drop down boxes include that. Instead of doing that, I might go to red area. This is my free form area, and at this exercise, the name of it, the same thing again, weight, set, and rep. So it shows the total weight. As you see, the formulas are ready to pick up and calculate the total, what the pound they just lifted. So that's the whole purpose of it. And if I go any further right, exceeding, passing the red zone, I come to this dark blue zone. The dark blue zone is not doing anything with weights. This is my cardio exercises. And for cardio exercises, I have several options here listed. Those are total distance with e-bike, total distance on recumbent bike if I'm doing a biking exercise at home, and which is a stationary bike, right? And also total distance on a treadmill if I do that, and I calculate my total calories burned, and also maximum heart rate and average heart rate, and also I track something if I'm riding my e-bike, what the e-bike level was. The levels are between 0 and 5, and I also keep track of that. I in fact have a separate sheet to track all the relevant pertinent factors of riding e-bike. So this is again, this doesn't have any place. The cardio aspect of it doesn't have any room to show. Obviously, it's not related. It's not relevant, right? It's not a matter of weightlifting. So I have a little separate section here under cardio, and for instance, I can show you not this one of these. There you go. See, I did, for instance, this one. Total e-bike distance was ridden that week was 13.6 miles, and total number of calories burnt was 346 calories that week. So I guess I did only one day at e-bike. I should be able to see. There you go. Under mix, I did both the weightlifting exercise, and in end of the day, I did bike ride. So that's also that. The formatting of it should be actually like this. Since I'm with you talking about it, I can also improve it. Like I said, this new tab, July 24th, and I'll start doing this in next Monday. I'll be using this tab. I just built it this week. I've been following up and coming up with some ideas on high volume training versus high intensity. And eventually I decided to reflect it on my Excel tracking, workout tracking sheet. So again, my typical philosophy is at least 5 days a week lifting weights, and absolutely having one day at least rest to be able to allow the muscles for growing. And again, it's an important idea behind that is, the philosophy behind that is, doing one day each muscle group. For instance, let's look at this one here. There you go, back. So the next time I exercise my back will be next week, right? Because I'm doing this once a week. Same thing for chest, same thing for biceps, although sometimes I hit them twice. So basically, for each muscle group, I'm allowing plenty time of recovery and rest. That's why rest is important. And typically for a good hypertrophy, it's recommended to have 24, anywhere between minimum 24 hours to 72 hours. And that is if you do a 2-day split, for instance. And I did a lot of 2-day splits in the past, but this is relatively new to me. I started doing this about maybe, I don't know, last couple of years or so. So I'm given 1 day per muscle group, and I'm given plenty sets each workout just so I can meet the recommended number of reps. And I noticed that I'm easily hitting these recommended. I'm staying in this range. In fact, I'm exceeding the maximum end of the range. So idea is I'm given plenty of exercise per muscle group 1 day a week, and until the next week that muscle group is resting. But of course, every day there's another muscle group, so 5 days at least I'm working out, and I gotta give 1 day of rest. That's a total body resting day, so there is no lifting that day overall. Some days it could be like chest combined with, typically I don't combine chest and shoulders. This is very atypical thing that I did yesterday. but it's typical. I never combine chest and shoulders. For instance, look at this: quadriceps and hamstrings. Both are leg exercises. Or if I do, for instance, chest, I would be combining this with back exercise or leg exercise. But I would never combine chest with triceps, because both are, you're pushing chest, you're pushing a lot of weights like bench press, incline bench press, those, and the triceps also, you're using your, chest exercises, bench press is using a lot of triceps, and doing triceps on top of that is too much for it. So I would not combine. What they call this is antagonistic muscle groups should be combined, not the same, like say for instance chest and or shoulder and triceps should not be combined. So that way they give them enough recuperation time. So that's another thing. So basically about five times a week on the average, and 1 or 2 days rest time. This is the typical workout regimen that I'm trying to track with. In this case, I'll be starting this one next week. I'll be starting tracking this one in this detail, including the number of reps, and also I had separation here. That is, there you go. The totals is showing, for instance, let's say I did chest, and it's showing my set and rep totals for that muscle group, and then same day, same workout, I did also, let's say, some leg exercise, maybe calves, or maybe hamstrings, or maybe quadriceps, and it's also tracking the set and reps, and then it's taking this to the grand total of that day, and the weight is total combined weight, pounds lifted for all these, in all these exercises, and it's going to put up this total weight, total poundage here. So I was only curious that week, and I wanted to actually hit and exceed. My kind of idea is kind of maybe funny, it's a personal thing. I'm trying to hit 200,000 pounds in a given week. So that takes a lot of reps and sets. In fact, if you just notice, if you look at the total number of reps, just a second, I'll go back. Okay, that is kind of hard to see, because I was actually showing that right now. I made it ready to go for next week, starting from zero. Obviously, next week I'm not able to see that, not this now, but it was a lot of reps to be able to hit like this one, 182,000 pounds, enormous amount of reps in that week. So it is extremely important, obviously, to calculate the distribution of the number of the muscle groups into days, and also set weight and rep combinations and distribution of those to those muscle groups, and in such a way that would support, or that would allow enough recovery time for proper hypertrophy, which is basically the basic foundation of muscle building process. And obviously, needless to say, which is not subject matter of this video, is enough nutrients, good nutrition supported by quality supplementation, protein, amino acids, testosterone, and creatine, and those supplementation on top of the good nutrition, having a good nutrition, and plenty of sleep, rest, and when you do work out, the thing is hit it real good. When you're lifting, hit it real good. So the typical workout in this regimen, as I describe here, is taking me anywhere between, depending on how I do what I do, minimum 45 minutes to hour and 15 minutes. My average, I think, is getting close to 1 hour each workout. So I'm trying to basically to get the most out of that 1 hour. Let's say I'm spending 1 hour each workout. So I'm trying to get the most out of 1 hour. So the typical duration of it is actually the articles that I was reading related to this topic, the volume training topic, and getting the most out of workouts or videos I was watching. You can easily find those that, the one common denominator you're going to find among all of those recommendations, that the duration of it is, it's not like, hey, I've been working out 3 hours a day, I'm doing a good job. No. If if you're really applying yourself in the gym, really truly applying yourself and giving the best you can, it is highly recommended or uh, highly opined by a lot of professional bodybuilders that a good workout cannot, should not exceed 1 hour 15 minutes. Hour and a half tops. If you're saying I did 2 hours workout or 3 hour workout, you're kidding yourself. You're kidding yourself to the point that you stop working out real good at the desired or necessary intensity. Because if you're applying yourself and giving the best shot that you're lifting those weights, when you're doing however many sets and reps you're doing, you gotta give yourself, give the best that you have. So basically, you should be exhausted, near exhaustion, not complete, but you should be at the point that your body would be telling you, don't push me anymore, any longer. So that is typically hour and a half at the most, and at that intensity. Of course, you can do it. You can tell yourself, you can kid yourself. You can say 3 hours I've been working out, but you can take it easy. The combinations would be so easy for your body that you wouldn't even push yourself. That's not a workout. That's not what you're trying to do. You're not going to get the results you want. Or if you're really pushing yourself, you're not going to be able to continue like 2.5 hours or 2 hours and 3 hours. So yeah, the optimal training they found based on those guiding rules, rule of thumb, that they found that hour and a half, 45 minutes even. 45 minutes to 1 hour. So that's what it is. So for instance, now look at this one here. One example. I typically, this is not a matter of I don't want to involve in and bring a discussion that number of sets and reps as far as the set and rep ranges, because there's typical guidelines again. The strength training and hypertrophy training, there are different set of range intervals that are recommended, but depending on what you're doing. For instance, my desired, my personal selection, my personal option is typically 4 to 6 reps. And again, number of sets are anywhere between 8 to 10 or more. Again, I'm doing this, once a week per muscle group, so I tend to go 15 to 20 sets. In fact, I was going to share another video, I think. There you go. I want to share this with you also. What they say is, as far as the number of sets, this is only number of sets. They say if you're doing, this is again rule of thumb, and based on a lot of pro bodybuilders and pro athletes' opinions and what they've been also academically researching and understanding and coming up with, backing those up, with the scientific studies, that number of sets less than 10 sets may not be achieving the results that you desire in a given week for the given muscle group. They recommend the range of 15 to 20. Even if you exceed, they say 20 to 30, sometimes the results would be kind of diminishing. But this one, it says even if you go up to 20 to 30, because it's very high, you can still get significantly more gains than with 10 sets. So the idea here is number of sets and reps are determined by what you're trying to do and what are the kind of optimal number of set and rep combination. And again, this whole spreadsheet here is based on that high volume training. So basically, this is the distribution of those weights and sets and exercise selection depending into the number of days in a week. And I'm just personally curious. I'm also tracking the total poundages lifted because I'm curious about that. So that's the kind of idea. So I'll be continuing again, like I said, starting next week Monday, which is Monday, July 31st. No, I'm sorry, July 24th, right? Yeah, July 24th or July 30th, and this is going to be first week that I'll be tracking also number of reps, split into 2 muscle groups, and having totals here and comparing what the recommended number of reps and kind of track if I'm staying in that range And again, the philosophy of the number of going right hand side here, all the weight, set, and rep combinations would be like I tried to describe. And also I have another video, in a detailed video I did on hypertrophy versus strength gains, like powerlifters, bodybuilders, maintenance combinations. All these have different set and rep ranges, and I had a totally dedicated video to that one, so I'm not going to get involved with that much here, but I just kind of brushed through it because it's related. So yeah, I mean, this is the idea. This is how I'll be using this to track and compare with the recommended ranges, and coming up and see what is my like total poundages left, total number of sets and reps, and hopefully staying with this routine regimen, long enough to start kind of obtaining results. So again, yeah, that's all I have. So I don't have anything else to add to this subject matter. So thank you very much for watching my video, and see you next time. Stay safe, stay strong, stay healthy.